The cold email tech stack just changed. Cloud Code showed up and replaced a bunch of GTM tools that used to cost a lot. Clay also changed their pricing. Now they are charging based on actions on top of the enrichments. So for a high volume cold emailer, things will get so much cheaper if you know which right tool to use. Now you can build high quality lists with buying signals and send hyper personalized emails at scale without landing in spam. All without relying on expensive tools and way more efficiently compared to before. In this video, I'll walk you through the new tech stack, which is way less complex compared to before and is way cheaper as well. We'll also talk about how much would it cost you based on the volume of emails that you want to send and what you should get based on your use case, because we're not talking about one fit all tool here. Everything would be depending upon your specific ICP and requirement. So let's start with the infrastructure. For domains, I use Spaceship. A .com domain costs around $9 and a .info domain costs around $3.5. I purchase a combination of both of them to diversify my risk and also bring the cost down. The reason why I stick with Spaceship compared to other providers like Pokebun or GoDaddy is simple. It's because the cost per domain is relatively cheaper and the UI is super clean. Now for each domain that you're buying, you should allot 3 mailboxes per domain. For mailboxes, I use InboxKit. It costs around $3 per Google mailboxes. Now, whenever I say this, I get tons and tons of questions from different people. Most of the people ask me that why are you not buying these mailboxes directly from Google from their business workspace? You can totally do that, but that's not the best way if your aim is to send tons and tons of emails for low cost with high deliverability. Let's say if you're based out of countries like India or Pakistan, which are relatively lower income countries, then if you're buying these mailboxes directly from Google Workspace, in that case, you're doing literally one of the biggest mistakes. You might get mailboxes for as low as $1 or even $2 per mailbox per month, but the IPs associated with those mailboxes would be based out of those countries itself. And these countries' IPs are known to be one of the worst in terms of email deliverability and reputation of mailboxes. So you're way more likely to land in spam even after you do everything else correct. But let's say if you're based out of high-income countries like Germany, United States, Canada, the IP reputations are way better in these countries. But you'll pay as much as $6 or $7 per mailbox per month if you're officially buying them from the Google website. And on top of that, you will need to manually do all the complex technical setup like DNS records, DKIM, DMARC, SPF, domain, mailbox authentications, and everything, which is way more time consuming and way more hassle. To avoid all these steps, we use resellers. They give you discounted US IP mailboxes, and for this exact purpose, I use InboxKit, which is the official Google Cloud partner. They will not only give you the discounted US IP Google mailboxes, but they will also do all those technical setup for you so that you just need to provide them your email sequencer like instantly, and they will just upload everything to you and start the warm-up process. Now, the next question is how much volume of mailboxes and domains one should buy. The simple answer is it depends on your TAM, which is total addressable market size, and it also depends on your goals and budget. First, you need to decide how many emails you want to send on daily basis. And from that number, you can calculate the number of mailboxes and domains you need. Whatever the email sending requirements are, just divide that number by 30 and you'll get the number of mailboxes you need every month to fulfill that volume. And since for each domain we'll have 3 mailboxes, then divide the number of mailboxes by 3 and you'll get the number of domains that you need to fulfill those number of mailboxes and fulfill the amount of volume that you're sending on daily basis. Let's take an example. Let's say if you want to send 3,000 cold emails every single day to your ideal client persona, and this is the minimum volume that I recommend to most businesses if their TAM size is more than 20,000 companies. Now divide 3,000 by 30 to get the number of mailboxes. That's around 100 mailboxes. And divide this number of mailboxes by 3 to get the number of domains. That's around 34 domains. Now divide the number of mailboxes by 3 to get the number of domains. Rounding it off, it comes to around 33 domains. Now splitting these domains 50-50 across .com, which is around $9 a year, and .info, which is around $3.5 a year, the total expense for domains comes down to around $200, which is typically a one-time cost. And the mailboxes is typically $3 per mailbox. And since we need 100 mailboxes, that's a monthly cost of around $300 per month that you need to spend at least to start sending 3,000 personalized cold emails every single day. And the best part is that you're spending this much and ensuring that you are getting really good deliverability. You're not actually landing in spam unless you do the other things right. Now, let's move to the next section, which is lead scraping or list building tools. Based on the complexity of your ICP, there are multiple different lead sources and tools you can use to scrape your entire total addressable market. I personally prefer not relying on just one tool like Apollo. Instead, I use multiple lead sources and multiple local or niche directories to scrape to cover the maximum scrapable TAM. There are few evergreen providers that I always use for all those complex ICPs that I get for my clients. One is Ocean.io. The reason why Ocean.io works for all the ICPs in the world, no matter the geographic location, no matter how complex it is in terms of the specific niche or specific industry, it works really well because it uses something called look-alike modeling. So basically, you just need to give some of the case study companies that you have worked with and you want to work with similar companies. If you just give those lists, let's say 5 or 10 company websites to Ocean.io, Ocean.io can literally generate the entire TAM or at least 40-50% of the TAM bare minimum and can give you the exact type of companies based on multiple keywords, industry, geographic filters. Apart from lookalike companies, I also look for niche or local directories that I can directly pull targeted companies from. And I typically use Perplexity or Claude research mode to find such directories. For example, let's say if I'm going after a specific type of marketing agency which provides Google advertisement services. So my first instinct would be to go to Clutch. Clutch.co is a directory where you can find tons and tons of agencies across the world, and you can literally filter for the type of service they provide and also budget, geography, headcount, revenue, and a lot of different filters. And you can literally scrape them using Instant Data Scraper or a simple Python scraper that you can literally develop using Cloud Code. Or let's say if I'm targeting real estate agents, then I'll go to realtors.com and put the relevant filters and search and just scrape all those leads using Instant Data Scraper completely for free. After doing all these things, if I'm still not able to get the significant portion of the total addressable market, then I'll do the following. I will identify which of the following 3 categories does the ICP belongs to. First, is your ICP a LinkedIn-based persona? By that, I mean someone who's active on LinkedIn and is easily discoverable through Sales Navigator filters. These are traditional industries like IT, service-based agencies, etc. For these types of personas, I scrape Sales Navigator directly using tools like Phantom Vista or Appify. And if you have a subscription of Blitz API, then instead of buying those different tools, just use Blitz API. It's a flat subscription. And I typically also focus on scraping Apollo, not directly using credits because it would be really expensive to export leads from Apollo. Instead, what I typically do, I have Apollo plug and Apollo scrapers who are external scrapers who will manually scrape the Apollo using their Python scripts that they have. And that is typically 10x or even 50x cheaper sometimes if you're scraping big lists. So if you just want the contacts of those people, then join my community. I have open contacts. Second category is local businesses. The best way to scrape this ICP is simple. It's Google Maps. And there are some secondary sources as well that you can scrape. For example, Yelp or Yellow Pages. Third categories are the one which don't fit in either of these buckets. For example, let's say if you want to target someone based on the tool that they are using. Let's say if I'm just going after companies who are on Shopify. Or let's say if I'm going after companies who are using HubSpot as their CRM. For these types of companies, there are multiple different providers that you can use. You need to research that using Claude or even Perplexity. But just giving you some examples, for the example of Shopify companies, you want to scrape Shopify stores, then I would lean to Store Leads, which is an e-commerce scraping platform. It's like a directory where you can put filters. There are lots and lots of ICP filters you can put, but the most important filter that you can put there is a technology filter, and you can filter for the Shopify Plus or WooCommerce or whatever is your ICP, and you can scrape all those leads. Or let's say if I'm taking another example of companies who are using HubSpot as their main CRM. For that type of ICP, I would rely on BuiltWith to scrape companies who are using that tech stack. Once you have the companies and the decision makers, the next step is to qualify them. Now, there are two ways how you can do that. If you're still using Clay and you're using it as your main GTM and orchestration platform, and you have an old legacy account where they're not charging you based on action, but they're just charging you based on the enrichment, just like before, in that case, you can still use Clay and use ClayGent. And in ClayGent, you can use GPT-4o Mini model to scrape other company websites and qualify them based on your qualification criteria. But if you're not using Clay and you're someone who's just getting into outbound space right now, I won't recommend you to get Clay. Instead, I would recommend you to stick with Claude Code. Inside of Claude Code, you can literally give it. So you can use Firecrawl, but if you're someone who don't have Clay and you're just getting into this outbound space recently, then I won't recommend you to get Clay. Instead, you can use Claude Code as your main orchestration platform. We'll talk more about this later. But for this specific step of qualification of leads based on your qualification criteria or ICP criteria, I would 100% recommend to use Firecrawl to scrape their entire website of your list and just find out whether they fit your ICP or qualification criteria or not with a yes or no column. And for running all the AI enrichments for personalizations, I personally don't recommend using OpenAI or Anthropic APIs because that would be really expensive, especially if you're doing this at scale. If you're sending 3,000 personalized emails every single day, by personalized emails, you're literally using AI to craft some specific parts of that emails for entire list of yours. That would be really expensive if you're doing these custom enrichments using AI. So what I would recommend instead is use open source model and host it on a cloud server of yours. It cost me around 20 times less compared to all those other typical providers like OpenAI models or Anthropic API cost. Right now, I use Deep Infra for all my cloud hosting. And the best part is that you don't need to manually buy a cloud server, set up an open source model in it, generate an API key, and all that hassle. No, you don't need that. You can literally use a provider like Deep Infra where they will take care of all the technical steps. All you need to do is just pay Deep Infra 20 times less compared to the typical OpenAI or Anthropic models. And you can literally choose which open source model you want to use. I use the GPT OSS 20B model because it is significantly closer to GPT-4o Mini performance and it is way cheaper as well. Once you qualify the leads, I use multiple email providers to enrich emails who pass the qualification criteria. The purpose of these email providers is to enrich and scrape emails of all these qualified leads. Typical email providers that I recommend to most of the businesses are LeadMagic and Trikit, especially if you're on budget. And if you have a little bit more budget to invest, I would 100% recommend getting a Blitz API. See, Blitz API is a multi-purpose solution specially built for high volume email senders. If you are on a low volume and you are budget conscious, in that case, I won't recommend Blitz API because it is relatively costlier. It costs around $500 a month. But if you're a high volume sender, then it is totally worth it because you'll get everything unlimited. Although there's no credit system there. So everything would be unlimited at $500, which is way more cheaper compared to if you're sending so much volume. Let's say if you're sending 5,000 emails a day or 10,000 emails a day. And if you're using other providers, which are competitor of Blitz API, you would be paying on credits and which would be way more expensive compared to $500. Now, coming back to our main topic. Once you enrich all the emails, then you use something called email verification tools to verify whether those emails are valid or not. These tools are like Million Verifier or Bounceman for enriching and verifying those emails that were found by the previous providers. Now, apart from this standard TAM scraping list building method, I also use something called intent-based lead scraping workflows. For example, for most of the SaaS companies that I run outbound for, I typically scrape competitor followers on LinkedIn. For example, most of the SaaS companies and service-based agencies that I work with, I typically scrape followers of their competitors' company pages on LinkedIn and we retarget them. And the tool that we use for scraping those followers is called following.co. Or we can set up automations to daily scrape companies who are hiring on LinkedIn or Indeed for a specific job role which represents skill that your company provides. I use scrapers from Appify to scrape all these different job portals like LinkedIn Jobs, Indeed, Glassdoor, and many more. Now, the next category of the tools are email outreach tools. Nothing complex here. I use Instantly.ai to automate all my emails with highest deliverability possible. And by the way, I'm also handling outbound for them. They're literally one of my clients, and I'm sending over 60,000 cold emails for them every single day. But that's not the reason why I'm promoting them, nor do I have an affiliate. Nothing complex here. I use Instantly AI to automate all my email automation and sending efforts. And I'm not promoting them for the reason that I'm handling their entire outbound. I'm literally sending over 60,000 cold emails for them on daily basis and booking over 30 to 50 sales calls daily. But that's not the reason why I'm promoting them. It's because I literally use their tool every single day, and I use it not just for them, but for all my clients. I have no reason to promote them because I don't have any affiliate link that you can use and that can make me money. But it's because it's literally one of the best tool out there. You can also choose other alternatives like SmartLead, which is also pretty good, but it has a lot of bugs and I personally don't like the UI. Instantly's UI is way more user friendly, and even if you're a beginner, you would be able to just get familiar of the entire UI in just a few seconds and start your first cold email campaign. But what I would not recommend is going with tools like Lemlist or Apollo.io for automating your email outreach. The reason is simple. These tools are not built for high volume email sending. With Apollo, your email deliverability would suck. And with Lemlist, it's not built for high volume email sending. It's a multi-channel focused platform, which is focused more on the manual steps as well, like cold calling and all. So it's a SDR focused platform. Whereas Instantly is literally built for high volume email senders. Now coming to the next category, which is for orchestrating all your efforts into one single platform. And this is the most fun part of the video because this specific thing literally replaces tons and tons of other tools, especially Clay, which used to cost me anywhere around $350 to $700 every single month, which is pretty insane. And this is way more cheaper compared to the tools that it has replaced in total. And it is way more less complex as well. If you would have asked me 6 months ago that, Ani, what's the best tool? And the tool name is Claude Code. It's way cheaper than Clay, and here's what it does. You give it your ICP description in one sentence and connect all your different tools that you have using API keys or MCP connections. All these tools are the ones that we have discussed till now and are part of your tech stack like Blitz API or Instantly.ai. And since it would have API access to all those different tools, it will figure out the best process to scrape your ICP from all those multiple data providers. It will also find the niche directories and scrape them directly by building Python scripts. It will scrape all the companies, find the right decision makers, enrich emails using multiple providers that you have connected, also verify the emails using the email verifier tool that you have connected, and upload all those emails, personalize them to your Instantly account or SmartLead or whatever you're using for email sequencing. And it will also set up the automations like reply agents if you want to set up them. Everything done for you from a single prompt. And the best part is that you don't juggle between multiple tools and you don't even need to know all those tools that I have talked about. All you need to do is just take subscriptions of those tools and generate an API key and connect it with the Claude Code using an MCP or directly with just providing the API key on Claude. So from the high level, you just prompt Claude Code that, hey, I want to create a campaign. This is the exact ICP. This is the sequence. And it will literally create the campaign for you within a few hours. If you want to learn how I use Claude Code to automate my entire process, then I would recommend getting my course, which is literally 45 plus hours of exclusive content recorded by me. But you don't need to watch the entire course. Even if you watch some of the important modules that I have marked as important, then you'll get most of it. I teach every major outbound tools from Clay to Apify to Cursor and even Claude Code, including all the strategies that are working right now because this is literally what I do for a living. I'm not someone who's just a course seller. I'm someone who actually works with businesses who are actually sending lots and lots of emails every single day and testing what's working and what's not working. So now you've built the infrastructure, you've built the lead list, and you've started sending emails via Instantly. Now what? Now you'll start getting replies. Now the main problem that people face is after they start getting positive replies is that how they can convert those positive leads which are generated by cold email to a booked call which has super high intent of buying your service or solution. Now what? You'll start getting replies and your goal would be to handle those as soon as possible. Speed to lead matters a lot. along with the way how you handle those objections and try to push for a call. For automating the replies, I have built my own AI reply agent, which is literally trained on my client's business material and the typical objection handling scenarios. So it literally responds to all those leads within 3 minutes. I have hosted this on Vercel for the front end, and for the back end, I've used Anytech, and I built the entire reply agent using Claude Code. And if you also want to learn how I built that, I've covered that in my course as well. After handling those objections, I typically redirect all those leads and send them to your high conversion landing page. And for building and designing all those landing pages using my framework and my prompts, I use Claude Design and I use Vercel to host them. And I create a VSL video, put it on that version of landing page, and I host it via Vercel. After they have went through the funnel and they're on the last step of booking call with me, they see cal.com. I use that tool for all my calendar and appointment booking purpose, and also to nurture those leads. So literally sending the nurturing emails before the call and after the call. That's the full set of tools that I use to build outbound systems. Most of you would be curious that typically how much will you spend on all these tools combined for an average client? So the answer is simple. It's around $600 to $1,000 a month if you're smart, if you're doing it efficiently. But if you are just messing up with things and if you're not using the right tools at right place, then the budget might go up to $1,500, $2,000 or even more every single month, which is not really an efficient way of using different tools. If you want me and my team to build this entire system and funnel for you and make it profitable on unit economics level, then you can apply to work with us from the link in the description. And if you got any value from the video, then I would recommend liking the video and subscribing to the channel so that you'll keep seeing these videos like this regularly. I'll see you in the next one.